everything I've been through. How could you see all the pieces of me? If you'd open your eyes, you'd see that we are one of the same. As I love, I can also feel the pain. Let me fall deeper into your embrace. Let me fall deeper into my faith. I lost my voice, I feel you standing over me. Strength is a choice, release this uncertainty. Kingdom, will you come? I've come unraveled, I've come undone. All my pain will be washed away. Let me fall deeper into your embrace. Let me fall deeper into my faith. Let me fall deeper into your embrace. Let me fall deeper into my faith. The world we live in can sometimes feel so great, but when you watch what's happening, it's easy to lose your way. Let me fall deeper into your embrace. Let me fall deeper into my faith. Let me fall deeper into your embrace. Let me fall deeper into my faith. Let me fall deeper into your embrace. And I'm standing with my faith.
Good morning. Oh, I was like leaning down. Oh, well, hey, welcome to Spirituality Gone Wild. That's why it is Spirituality Gone Wild. Good morning. It is time for a cup of grata with a shot of expression. And today we've got 3 squirts of reality. I love this. And you guys, I'm going to introduce 2 phenomenal co-squirts who I'm bringing on up to the stage. We have Jolie Dawn and beautiful Jules Schroeder. And let's talk about Jolie is an intuitive coach, a writer for Entrepreneur Magazine, and a 6 times Amazon bestselling author. Jolie was named by Pacific Magazine as one of San Diego's top 30. Guys, listen to this stuff. Top 30 under 30 entrepreneurs. She is the creator of Prosperity Queendom Incorporated, an immersive trading platform for spiritual female entrepreneurs. Jolie has thousands of hours of training in leadership and personal development and dozens of certifications, including Kundalini Yoga, transmutation meditation. That was a twister. Transmutation meditation. Hypnosis, Reiki, and so I'm so stoked for you to be here. Welcome, Miss Jolie. Hi.
Hi.
And to welcome the beautiful Jules, we're going to welcome her back. She has been on before. You guys, she is ranked by Inc. magazine as #1 of the top 27 female entrepreneurs changing the world, one of the top 40 millennials to follow. Jules Schroeder is a musician and a visionary on a mission to inspire people to create a life by their own design. With this vision, Jules created Unconventional Life, a Forbes column and top-ranked podcast for entrepreneurs that features the stories of millennials living from this new paradigm. Unconventional Life has reached millions of people from over 75 different countries and has become a global community of like-minded entrepreneurs, influencers, creatives, and thought leaders. Jules herself has always been a multi-passionate as an avid she's always been multifaceted. Y'all, she loves CrossFit, yoga. She's a teacher. She's a musician, songwriter, avid traveler. She's just an overall, they're both life enthusiasts. And I think life enthusiast is really the best way to explain both of you. You're going to be on a very special Women Rising. And I got to meet you both the other day. Today, we're going to be talking about Dare to Prosper, which is a really exciting program that you have coming forward. But for now, I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to actually give this over to both of you. Who wants to start? I'm going to eeny, meeny, miny, moe you, but we know who's going to go first.
Jules, you kick us off. That was such a beautiful video.
So good. Debbie, thank you so much and for streaming that video, everyone. It was such a nice, surprise to watch that. And sometimes, as an artist, it's just like so much is moving through us. And I think all of us are, at least for myself, we've been in a time where, there was what we thought life would look like. And then there's, what life looks like. And I always think, though, there's this beautiful intersection of what we want to have happen and what God, spirit, universe, however you call it, wants to have happen. And I think that's where you get access to the secret menu. It's the options of all the things that you've planned. Then there's the even better. And I think that is a time that's among all of us if we choose to see it that way. And one of the reasons why, Debbie, I love you, your show, everything with Unify, Rising Women, all of those things, and also how Jolie and I got connected. It was about 10 years ago we first met. And I remember it was about this time last year, thick in COVID. I was quarantined in my mountain house up, outside of Boulder, surrounded by acres of national forest. And my roommate comes up to me and she's like, hey, there's this online challenge about prosperity to help you live more of a prosperous life. And I was like, well, life doesn't seem so prosperous right now. We've been on lockdown for a few months. And so it was put on by Jolie, and it was a 10-day challenge designed to really ignite prosperity, wealth, abundance, and all the things that felt missing at that point in time. And it was such a great challenge. I ended up participating in 8 out of the 10 days. And as a thank you gift, I called her up and I was like, Jolie, let me take you to Mexico. Come down to my timeshare as soon as we could start traveling again, months later. And so she did. And this sisterhood really started to emerge from us. And now this year we are co-hosting this challenge, which will be the 17th through the 28th of May, which is really designed for all of us as women to come together, to collaborate, to co-evolve, and to say, no matter what kind of year that we've had, this is a time where we get to choose. We get to hop in the driver's seat. We get to be the conscious creator of our reality. And we get to also look at where are the limitations that we've put onto. Where have we been subscribing to different patterns of fear? That was a big thing for myself this year. It's the media or life or vaccines or this or whatever it might be, just to start to untangle and look at what's the pile of stuff that landed in my lap and how can I be really discerning and intentional of what stays and what goes. And so this challenge is really an expression to kind of take that audit, take that inventory, and really declare, really claim what you want, and to do it as women, because I think that is such where we are going. Women are leading the way. And so it's such a honor to be on a show that obviously celebrates that. And I think that's been a big theme and what we're really excited looking forward.
Beautiful. And I love the direction you're taking this, because already you're going with the flow, you're allowing, and everything about what both of you do is looking at this process. And I love it. You're looking at what you want, right? And then what the universe has that's better. I swear to you, when you said that, I'm just like, oh, that tickles me freaking every which way of rainbow colors and sparkles. Oh my God, I loved it. Okay, so I'm going to do a flip here and bring Jolie to the stage. And Jolie, let's talk about this. This is an extraordinary time. COVID was a huge opportunity for all of us. Was it not just the raddest, coolest thing ever? Okay, guys, sorry, y'all, if y'all just got butthurt because I just said that, who's listening, going, no, my life. But seriously, the perspective of what we have been able to do is come together as we've all united very beautifully, I think. So, Jolie, talk about your journey and path to that moment with beautiful Jules.
So I actually want to back up to 2008. Do you remember what was happening in 2008, Debbie?
Of course. Oh yeah.
Of course.
I kind of. Oh yeah. Just sort of everything went.
It was the last real crazy time of uncertainty. And
Yeah.
what had happened in my family is it hit my family financially really, really hard. I was 20 years old in college, just coming into myself as a young woman, and this recession was happening around me, and it was a very big deal. And I remember my college professors talking about your degree is not worth what it used to. And personally, like I said, my family got hit really hard with it. And my dad's law firm was suffering as kind of an old school yellow page style law firm. He couldn't keep it afloat and had so much credit leverage during that time. And for the people who had a lot of credit leverage, were in a very vulnerable position. My dad looked at his situation, and after a series of lots of trying and lots of putting his best effort in, he decided to take his life. And it was so traumatic and painful. I had to process my dad's suicide over money, over bad investment properties, over his law firm going down. And there was this anger and this resentment that built inside me around money. Like, I hated the money system. And the more I found out about what actually happened and the greed and the corruption behind the scenes, that a few people in white collar crimes, maybe more than a few, could impact so many people on a global level. And I realized this energy of just resentment of the money system, of why is it created this way? Why is it created for only a few to win? Why is it created with such disparity in socioeconomic levels? It didn't feel fair, and it didn't feel like the world that I wanted to live in. Fast forward many years, starting my business, actually not that many. I started my business at 22. A few years into my business, I realized I wasn't going to be able to make money while I hated money, while I was resentful with money. I realized that money was an energetic that I was pushing away. So I had to do a lot of healing from a vibrational level with money, understanding what it is, understanding what true wealth and true prosperity is. And so I care so much about helping people because I've been able to have a wildly successful career. Every time I launch, multi-six-figure launches. And that just wouldn't have happened. It wasn't the predictable future. The woman that is running the business that I own now is a created version of myself. And I'm so passionate about helping other people, especially women because we were the ones that was told it was not for us for so many years. I'm so passionate about it because it opens up a new life. It opens up an inner freedom. It opens up an ability to choose the lifestyle that you most desire. It opens up your generosity, your ability to give more, to think creatively. And I always say, like, when you combine true inner happiness and gratefulness for this experience plus resources, that's a recipe for a really beautiful life.
You are a complete and utter rock star. I love this. Okay. So I'm going to bring up something because first off, my heart's with you regarding your dad committing suicide. I want to talk about the gratitude and grief.
Yeah.
Share that with me. What has that experience been like for you to discover what that means?
Yeah, gratitude and grief. I think that I tried to postpone my grief at 20 years old. I just didn't have the tools to process what it meant.
Possibly, yeah. I'm just curious because both
Yeah.
my sons are 29 and one is almost 33, and their dad. This will be the 6th year since he's been gone. So I'm asking this question because after he passed away, it took like a couple of years, but I started searching for that moment of realizing the gratitude and grief. And for me, what that looked like was something that you've already said and what you're doing in action. And what I'm observing is this deep appreciation for life, this deep appreciation to take a hold of the moment and grab onto it and say, yes, I'm here, to look at this and how it's served you, not how it's hurt you, which is a really tough thing to do when you're talking about your parent or somebody very close to you leaving the earth by choice. Yeah. So I just know by your actions that this is what Spirit's showing me, that you are where you're at with this experience. And so that's why I said the gratitude and grief.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Debbie. Yeah, deep appreciation for life and a desire to be here. There's many times where I looked and I'm like, do I want to be here? And I've seeing the eject button from so many people. My first cousins committed suicide. My mother willed herself to die. She stayed locked in trauma, in a frozen trauma responsible not for 9 years until one day she just didn't wake up. One of my best friends on the planet committed suicide. So I've been around it so much and watched people leave this physical reality. And I could see the choice. I could be here and just trucking along and too scared to look at my grief and too traumatized to touch the pain. Or I could really get courageous and brave and feel everything and get curious and stand for what I want to stand for. And yes, be in action and serving other people, because I believe that is truly the recipe for happiness on this planet, is to be in service, to be on purpose.
I just love you, period.
I love you.
You just rock. Jules, you want to pop in here?
Yeah. I think there's so much of that, Jolie, and I think what comes to mind is just transmutation is the word. And I think that there's so much of our life experience that's being asked to be used through us, and it doesn't make sense. There's no logical reason. There's no reason that Jolie, you or Debbie, you and your family or I and the things that we've gone through, we have to go through them, and we have the choice, and it doesn't take away the pain. It doesn't take away the grief. It doesn't take how shitty it is. It doesn't take how much it sucks. It doesn't dismiss any of that or invalidate any of that. And I do believe that we are given a set of circumstances and a set of experiences, and often it is guiding. And if we ask and if we listen, and it's a practice that I have, why? Tell me how you want me. How am I to be of service of this? How am I to transmute this? That it actually can be, one of our greatest gifts. And, I ended up having actually this near-death experience that I think I might have shared with you, Debbie, at one point. It was about 5 years ago at this point. It was a wakeboarding accident, a Colorado summer day. And I, used to be a sponsored snowboarder, and I hit the water and I face planted. And, I just remember coming out of the MRI was my next memory in the hospital, and approached by this white figure and 6 black shadow council conversation of, Jules, you have more work to do in the world. Do you want to do it? And they thought my neck was broken at the time. They thought I might have been paralyzed. And I just remember saying, yes, as long as I don't come back to vegetable. And in this next moment, zap back into my body. I felt this energy forge my neck back together and shoot down my spine. And the moment that I woke up that day, really different. But that feeling of being in that in-between space, it was the most amount, and I equate to it as like love and energy that I'd ever felt present, that as I started to spend my next weeks and years back here as a human being, it was a disconnect. I was like, when I know that that's available on the menu, like that degree of love and that degree of thing, why do I want to be in this skin body? Like, I want to go there. Like, I want to go home. And that, has been such a theme that I've had to look at. And I think a lot of us, we've been born into this deep separation. We have connection, especially if you're tuning in the show, I, have the sense that you have an awareness of your spirituality. You have an awareness of your higher self. You're connected to the spirit realm in certain ways, whatever way you relate to it. And so for me to feel that pain of like, I know my home, yet I'm here in a body. How do I reconcile that? And I think for many of us this last year, particularly, that gap even widened. A lot of us, we've been on the front lines for a long time, doing our work, pioneering this next wave of consciousness, this next wave for us to come through. And I think to some degree, those of us, if you identify that way, got hit really hard this year, just from a soul level, right? From a soul level to question and to look at and to reflect, like, God, am I ready? Can I stay a little longer? And at many points this last year was like, did I mean those words I said in that hospital of like, yeah, I got more work to do. Do you want to do it? And I think that in my own experience, I don't know if it ever stops being a consistent choice, but I do believe that we're here to be the integration. We are here to be the bridge. And if you allow your gifts and talents that you are here to do, to uncover and discover and do that in collaboration, which I really believe is how we're being called in this next way forward, not to be the big fishes of our pond anymore. We've done that. We've been doing that for years. It's no longer interesting. It's no longer what's going to move the path forward. It's how do we step out of that paradigm to come into this we paradigm to say, okay, if I'm just a person, if Jolie is just a person, if Debbie's just a person, how can we actually create transformation at scale, and how can we go further, faster together? And I think that's a conversation that we're in. And I think vulnerability, I think looking at our experiencing, recognizing our humanity, and at the end of the day saying, We are integration. We are human beings. We are spirit in body to actually allow our gifts and talents to come through. That's why we're here. And that's what I sit with myself of, why I still keep choosing this reality.
Wow. That's beautiful. You both of you make my heart happy. You just make my heart so y'all watching right now, is your heart just yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Joe Sliker. So wow, so much wisdom in you ladies. Amazing and refreshing. Totally, right, Joe? Seriously. What a thought. How can we show up for those that feel alone? And how can we show up for those? You're here to dare people to prosper. And I'm kind of guessing we aren't talking about prospering just in the bank account, y'all. We're talking about abundance in every area of our life. And I also heard some very big things coming out of both you about service. Be that for others that you wish for yourself. When you want something, be that something. Show up and be that something. How can we compassionately give more so that we can see the suicide rate start going down? And I'm going to pass this over to Julie.
Yeah, I think when I tune into the most fundamental human need, it's belonging, and it's to feel a sense of belonging. And if we look at the impact of the last year or so in what's happened to people in mental health, I think that that's been rocked. I think the places where we used to go to connect and belong weren't there. And there was a digital in its place, which digital can be amazing. And there was a missing. And we're just starting to get back to normal. But going back to what you were asking about service, I truly believe that when people see how big they are, that they matter, they discover their leadership and they step into that expression, they'll meet a version of themselves that they begin to fall in love with. And that's when the game of life becomes really fun and engaging. And in the Western world, we have a lot of privileges, a lot. We have the privilege of high-speed internet, of being able to own laptops and being able to connect to a free economy, meaning we can create any professional service or product that our little hearts desire, go out there into the free market and make money of our own. That is something that it's a feeling that can't possibly be replaced by anything. It's a feeling of ownership. It's a feeling of accomplishment. And being able to impact humanity in some way. I know who you are, Debbie. I know who your listeners are, and they crave that depth. They crave more. They're looking for more in life. They understand that human consciousness is the biggest threat and the biggest possibility here on this planet Earth. And I feel like if we're going to start paving the way for what we want this world to be, every single person having that personal accountability of I am a contribution here. I'm a contribution for myself. I'm a contribution for the people in my life. I have this idea of how I want to help others based on this thing that I've been through. And this is the way that I want to do this. We can call this the coaching industry. We can call this the personal development industry, the healing industry. But I believe that when somebody finds their gifts and they take action, and they go out there and they try it for the first time and they get knocked down and they get back up and knocked down and back up, such as the game of entrepreneurship, you'll meet a version of yourself that is just so expanded, so growth oriented. And that to me is when you click into the field of life where the game just becomes so much more fun and exciting.
Anybody else getting tickly? That's awesome.
I love watching Jolie. I'm like, go girl.
Right? I'm just like, you two are delightful. Yes, Joe said it right. You're just a breath of fresh air. You're refreshing. So, okay, Jules, let's go ahead and have you go forward from that.
Yeah, and I think the other part too is, just inside of that is, for me, I remember a point this last year where I felt profoundly complete with how life was, meaning that I said a sense that I looked and I was like, if this was my last moment, I've done enough podcasts, I've recorded enough music, I've helped enough people. Like if I looked at my life, and here's a practice for all of you, I was like, I put everything in my life, like you can just list it all out in a notebook, everything that you do that you're responsible for, from cleaning to whether it's clients, to emails, to kids, to whatever it is, working out in a certain way. And I ranked it. on a 1 to 10 scale. You can just write it all out on a piece of paper and just give it a number. Don't even think about it. And when I looked at the sum of my life, there was really only a few things that were like a 10 or an 11. And the irony was like music, CrossFit, things like that. And the majority of my time, 85% of my time was going to 5s and 6s, even though my life was created life. And I think there's a way that life can creep in, and before we even know, we blink our eyes and we're like, what is this? And there's pieces, right? But it's not all of it. And I had to sit and I had to ask myself, okay, well, if I'm profoundly complete here, like, why keep going? And I think that a lot of us have undergone a death in various ways this last year, and in many ways are in the process of a rebirth. And that question of what makes life interesting. For me, there's this Greek mythology of Inanna, where she calls being on the meat hook, where Inanna is the goddess of heaven, and her sister, the goddess of the underworld, invites Inanna down, is super jealous of her, and it says, sister, come to the underworld, let's hang out. So she gets down there, and then her sister kills Inanna and puts her on a meat hook for display. And Inanna can't go back to heaven, and she can't go to hell. She's just literally stuck as a rotting corpse on this meat hook, feels frozen, feels suspended in time. And for me, there was a lot of this last year where I felt like Inanna. I was like, I can't go up and I can't go down. And I'd go to bed and I'd wake up, still on that meat hook. Next day, still on that meat hook. And it was so infuriating. And some of you might still be on that meat hook, or you might have been on that meat hook. And it was only the very moment that I accepted it was I able to actually 5 months later, 4 months later, get off that meat hook and really start choosing and creating. And I had to ask myself this question: what actually makes the present moment experience of living, that present moment vibrancy, for me it was of joy, interesting enough to keep going? What makes the game interesting enough to want to keep playing? Not as an overall, here are these wins, goals, and accomplishments, but from a present moment experience. And that's been this practice, even going on a hike and smelling the air, looking at the clouds without the agenda of these clients or this, that, or the other thing that I've got to get done. And I find that consistent practice of increasing your present moment vibrancy, in my opinion, allows for more connection. And as Jolie said, eventually more belonging. But we must start connecting with ourself, our truth of where we're actually at. And then from that place, I believe it opens the gateway to be of service to others. And that's been a big practice of mine this year. And I also find that when we're disconnected from our purpose and we're disconnected from why we are here, the depression, the separation, and all of those things amplify. And the gateway, in my opinion, is coming back into connection. And it starts with you first. And from that place, you come back into connection with your gifts, back into connection with other and belonging. And that is really why I think this opportunity is. And it's like someone shaking you. For me, it's like, Jules, wake up. Come on. You can do it. There's another lap in you. Come on, come on. And whoever that is, if you were there in that moment, there's more. And when we connect to those gifts, being willing to say, yep, there's been a wire here. Let me replug. Let me rewire. I'm good to go. That allows for that next phase. And I think that's what we're doing here in this challenge. These 10 days is really this process of really plugging you back in, tuning you in all the ways. We've got such a variety of speakers and panelists. We've got women coming on from over 15 different countries, sharing, their domain of what prosperity means, not just in wealth, but a prosperous life, that 10 out of 10. Imagine that piece of paper, 10 out of 10, not even some 11s on there, that 10 out of 10 life, because you chose it. And it's about creating permission. Per my mission, as a friend used to say, for us to really wake up, to step up, and to show up, in a life that we want, and a life that really, is worth living for us.
Hot damn. I'm all about, you all have it. If you haven't signed up, I've posted the link. I'm going to do it again right this very second. Okay. It's very easy. You just go put your email address and your name in, and you are signed up for the challenge. It's super easy peasy lemon squeezy. So we have been talking about a lot of great things today. One of the big things I hear that you both are sharing about is community. So it's about community, connection, collaboration, compersion, which is celebration of each other and our accomplishments. There's a lot of people in this world, 7 point some odd billion, and that's a lot of people. We need everybody on the front lines. It's time, and you're being called to the front lines, and you're being called to dare to prosper. Now we're going to switch it over to Jolene. We're going to get into dare to prosper. Tell me, what does dare to prosper mean to you?
It's interesting, Debbie. I've been trying to put it into words, but the best that I can do to describe what happens is we open up a field. There is a field that we create. It is a portal, if you will, of possibility, where we travel deep into the unconscious mind through a variety of healing modalities that I bring to daily meditative visualization experiences, including hypnosis, including metaphor healing, theta healing, and unconscious reprogramming. And so I'll take you deep into a very introspective journey into your mind to take a look at an inventory of what are the beliefs that you're holding on to that you have outgrown, and it is time for an upgrade. It's a very personal journey. It's a journey deep within yourself. When I first started my business in my early 20s, I spent a lot of time exploring my psychic and intuitive gifts. I had a little in-home energy healing studio in my tiny apartment in Leucadia, California, and I wanted to know how energy works, and I wanted to actually heal people, and because I had gone on such a deep healing experience myself. And so I've spent the last decade refining my psychic tools and psychic skills, and it's something that I absolutely love doing, the Dare to Prosper Challenge, because it's like all of me comes online. The marketing whiz, the business coach, the intuitive coach, and all of these psychic tools. And so for the person who's ready to do this, it is a very, very deep journey into you to heal from your lineage, from your past, from all of your limiting beliefs, and to open up into a new future. It takes a brave soul to claim a new future and to write a new narrative for your life. And on the note of community, every single person that participates, the thousands of us that participate, are holding a field. It's a field of energy, it's a field of consciousness, and we all get to plug into it. I'm a huge believer in energy. I'm a huge believer that the most fundamental language of this universe that we live in, this physical reality, is vibration. And so we come at it from that angle of vibration, because I believe that true wealth is a mindset. Prosperity is first created in the mind. It's created in the psyche before it comes into the 3D realm. We start to practice what it feels like to prosper in your body one day at a time. Every single day, meeting what does it look like for me to prosper today? I believe that true success is as many consecutive days of happiness and joy as you can. Of course, we experience the human moments. Yeah, Debbie likes that. But to give yourself the space to enjoy being here. Every single day, people will get invited to play with this field, the prosperity field, with a challenge of the day. And they're super fun. It's kind of like a scavenger hunt. It's a way to just practice and feel prosperity happening. And the community is fantastic. Last time we did this, we had women from over 50 countries. We specialize in helping women in the Dare to Prosper Challenge because women have been told for thousands of years that money is not their game to play. It's different than what men have been told about money. Men are absolutely welcome to join and to be a part of it and to tune in and help hold the masculine space. We are happy to have you. And the conversation is for women.
I think I love that. I love that. It is so exciting to see these leaders. I mean, y'all, this is what you're witnessing. This is what I said on Women Rising. We're looking at our leaders, our up and coming, holding office leaders that are going to be running this country. Get ready, guys. I'm telling you. So I'm going to pass this over to Jolie and just say it. It's obvious. Jules.
Yeah.
So I was going to pass it to Jolie, but I actually am passing it to Jules because y'all just, oh, Lord. Okay, this is like so much fun. Here's what now I'm picking up is it's all about your joy and your vibration and staying in some bliss and going. Look, I'm all about scavenger hunts. I love that. I mean, how fun is that? You guys want to go? Look, we're going to go to scavenger hunt for our prosperity. I think that sounds really cool. And if you look below here, you're going to see that the website is just floating right across the screen. I also I'm going to post it again right here in the chat. It goes into everywhere. If you're on YouTube, it's right there. You guys can find it. Go ahead and grab it. If not, it's also in the description of this video. So please check into that. All right. So let's talk about the staying in bliss. But don't I have to work really, 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 really hard?
Yeah, it's the hardest thing that you've ever had to do.
Don't I have to work really hard to prosper? Don't I need to just kill myself to make money, for God's sake?
Right? Isn't that the paradigm many of us have inherited? My dad worked Wall Street in New York City. And when I told him I was going into entrepreneurship, he was like, what? The scarcity, the lack of security, the lack of stability, right? And I do truly believe that when we have alignment on both a soul, physical, emotional, on all the level, mind, body, spirit level, doors open where historically they've been frozen. And I think that's what's so cool about this challenge is getting into relationship with those things. And I remember this time last year I opened up with that story. It was a month before that my big event, we were going to bring 500 entrepreneurs, artists on a cruise ship, luxury cruise ship through Italy. Kind of sounds like a Saturday Night Live skit. This event was going to gross 2 million. It was like our big thing. And it was like COVID, cruise ships. And like every week we're like, oh my gosh, Italy. We're like, oh my gosh. And then, we had 300 tickets sold. And it was, our whole mission was really this co-evolution, leaders of leaders type of thing. The irony is I still think the intention of the event got fulfilled, even though the event didn't quite happen. And so I came out of that, all of my projected income gone in a second, right? And then on top of that, I had been going through a crazy relationship thing, was in this full-blown celibacy period of 9 months. And I had been making like no money. I was hemorrhaging money. And I remember this challenge came about. And I ended up attending 8 out of the 10 sessions, which for me, I was like historically like, online, is this even going to be cool? Am I going to like this? Blah, blah, blah. And I did it anyways. And I legitimately made $60,000 that next month from doing this challenge. $60,000. That's why I called her up. I was like, you should let me take you to Mexico as a, as a gift of thanks. Because it was profound. And it wasn't like I was even like, oh, I'm going to make $60,000, or even that I was conscious of like, must need this money. But it was more like if I unite the field of intention, if I allow myself to fully open to pleasure, which I think is another thing we don't allow ourselves to dive into, like what feels good. And coming back to effort, right? There's this way that if it's not hard and it doesn't feel structured and if it's not disciplined, then it won't work. We're actually, and I think some of the things you'll learn, especially through, like Layla Martin is going to be on our challenge and some of our other speakers, is that pleasure is actually the gateway into things that feel good. And when things feel good and alignment is present, that's when we talked about that secret menu in the beginning, right? It's like what we didn't even know was on the table in the quantum field. That's when the quantum field shows up. And there's this 3D realm that we play in called the physical. And there's this 5D realm, this quantum field that we get to play in. And this challenge is a continual practice dialogue with that quantum field every single day, starting with these meditations in your subconscious mind. You are literally accessing, if I can have whatever I want that I don't even know that I don't even know that I want, because it's so epic, I couldn't have even imagined that I wanted it. And I want to go play with it and ask for it every day, then what shows up? Like that's the conversation that we're having. And you can't even know what you don't even know until you're there and until you're in consistent ritual and relationship and practice with that. So for 10 days, this is a free challenge, by the way, everyone, completely free. So if you're not like registering for this, like I don't know what you're doing, but I mean, it's a completely free experience. And it allows just that space that ordinarily we wouldn't, or I or you or whoever wouldn't give ourselves to do. And it is so fun. And women all over the world, I mean, God, Julie, this is your 3rd year that you've been running it. Just the amount of breakthroughs that coming out of my first client to healing with my kids, to finally getting clarity on where my career is going, to like thousands of dollars, the spectrum is infinite. So come play with us. And it definitely does not need to be hard. And if anything, you get to actually be in a dialogue. And if you've never had that experience of really being with the quantum field, really asking beyond the 3D consistently over 10 days to get to know yourself, your spirit, all the guides, all the resources that are here with you all the time to like really reveal yourself to that, then that's a gift to really give yourself. Because for me last year, that was, what started it all and what brought Jolie and I into collaboration and what has me so honored to be co-hosting it this year.
Rock on. This is fantastic. So yeah, I don't even know any excuses. How could you even have an excuse, you all? Come on now, really? It's free. It's floating across the screen. I'm going to post it again in the chat. Here you go. Seriously. I mean, and it's your name and your email. That's it. That's all you got to do. And then after that, you're going to get this great page and it's going to give you directions on exactly what to go and do. It's put together so well. In fact, if all you want to do, if you're just really curious to see how absolutely sweet this website is, because I'm just like over here going, oh my God, I'm in love. Seriously, huge professional, you guys. And I'm just appreciating all of all of everything that you're bringing forward. So let's go into, how do both of you find, I'm going to flip it back now. How do we find the pleasure zone and the joy button? I call gratitude is, no, joy is gratitude's belly button. This is what I always say. Woohoo! Right? I mean, it's like joy is that thing that I love how that Jules said that it just, all of the quantum fields just open up, all the doors that remain frozen just start opening up. You know, the minute that you know something, you know it. You can't know it till you know it, and I love that, because you can't know it till you know it. Right? So how do we practice that joy? How do we practice? What tools do we have to go into curiosity, acceptance, allowingness, and appreciating?
For me, this all started when I gave myself full permission to be a woman and to really see my femininity as my superpower in business, my intuition, my ability to relate, my empathy, my priority in fun, not being a workaholic in my business. And so, oh my gosh, the pleasure-based life and the commitment to pleasure, the commitment to joy above anything else is what has me drive in so much success. I have really, really good boundaries with myself of like, this is how much I can work per week while still having my free time and my joy and my creativity and my self-expression. And there was a moment where I really got me first above everything else. For everybody listening, you are the most important thing. I think we're scared of being selfish. We're scared of like, oh my gosh, no, I need to make sure everyone else is tended to before me, especially women. Well, your brilliance really comes from your full cup. So doing the things you love to do, carving out time, being unreasonable about it, doing whatever you have to do to protect your calendar so it is your creation. Recently, I did like a calendar overhaul where I don't take any client calls on Mondays and Fridays. And so I have those days where I can be out working at a coffee shop or on the beach or whatever I'm doing in this nomadic lifestyle. And then I take clients 3 days a week. And that was a huge breakthrough moment for me because it was a taking back of my time. And so just talking to the women listeners really quickly, it just so rarely do we get permission to be women in business. So much of the narrative, so much of the role modeling is about emulating the masculine, emulating men. And there's a time to turn on your masculine. I understand that I know how to turn mine on very well. I understand that Jules, she knows how to turn hers on. Debbie, she's got it. We know how to turn it on when needed. But to sink back into your femininity, and that means to be connected to your body, to love your body, to feel joy and pleasure in your body, to make sure that you are getting self-pleasure time or having good pleasure time, having great orgasms. Really important for the female body. And to be curious about your body in new ways, to move your body in new ways. I think that's the joy of being a woman, and we deprive ourselves of it by not even knowing that we're doing it. And so if the belly button of gratitude was joy, sorry, was it the other way around? The belly button is gratitude, or the belly button is joy?
No, you got it. Joy is gratitude's belly button. Yes.
I love it. I love it. And make sure you stay tickled and filled up. I love that this show is all about the co-squirting. I'm like, wow, all the sexual references. I love it. Debbie, you get it. Being so connected to that is your freedom. It really is. And I know how important it is to be a role model of that femininity. And so many people tell me that, like, thank you for being so in your feminine in business. We don't have a lot of role models of that. And it's something that I just really believe in, because we don't have too much role models of it, and it's important.
That is seriously rock star. And I love that you catch the innuendos. I wish I could be responsible for them, but so source, I'm telling you. My other one my favorite is Spark the G Vibe, and that's your gratitude vibration. And they all know that. Spark that G Vibe. Pooh. But it gets us thinking, right? Wait a minute, spark the who? Spark the what? Yes, spark your G vibe, and people look at you and their faces turn instantly red, and it's like, do you not love this? So now we're talking about busting up more paradigms of bringing forward sexuality, sensuality, tapping into your pleasure zone, literally talking about the G spot, not the G vibe, y'all, because as women, we are taught to stifle our sexuality. If you come from a space of any type of sexual abuse, then there's a real thing to look at even in that space, because everything's been shut down. So it's really important, you see, in this movement for these beautiful women to be sharing their light and talking about subjects that a lot of people are going, oh my God, are they really talking about that? You know, this is to break this is the old stuff. Now we're talking about the new stuff, and that is appreciating who that you are and loving yourself. Self first is not selfish. That is correct. I agree. Jules, what do you got to say about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think about it, right, like our center line, it's one line of energy. If you think about your sexual center, even if we talk about joy of the belly button, but our womb, our center of intuition, our gut, right, all the way up to where our throat is, our voice, it's all connected. And I do believe that when we have a block in one of these centers, it thwarts the full energy, the full amount of energy that wants to receive and wants to circle around us. And so I do believe that it's the holistic, it's all of it. And I think many of us, we were coming into this point. I know when I was growing up, it was like, go to school, go to college. It's one of 13 career paths. And it's like compartmentalize success and career and deal with family relationships and health as a byproduct, secondary. That was at least my upbringing. And I think that we've awoken, many of us in our awakening, to the fact that every single piece has a place at the table. And I think the conversation, if you're here and you're like, I want more money in my life, or I want more freedom of expression, or I want more turn on, or whatever it might be, it's all connected. You got one missing link, we got to activate and open all of it. And that's why even in this challenge, we take such a holistic perspective to it. And, I know for me, just thinking about joy and gratitude, it wasn't until I started allowing my creativity, my artist, to value. I took her out of the hobby box, and this is something I'll only do if I have time, into like, the full-time box. And I remember interviewing the comedian JP Sears. Some of you know him for his hilarious, comedy videos. He was on Unconventional Life. And he said for over 15 years, he's a transformational life coach, in and out. He was, doing these coaching videos, and just nothing was clicking. Nothing was clicking. And finally, one day, he was like, what if I bring some comedy into it? And he created a dry comedy skit mixed with his spirituality, put it on YouTube. Lo and behold, hundreds of millions of views, literally seconds later. And he said, the very moment that I integrated the part of myself that I was most shy about, that I was most vulnerable, that felt the most taboo, or, oh, no one can see that, or what will they think? And I brought it forward, I let it have a seat head of the table, that's when that full integration, that full success finally clicked into place. And it was so true for me as well. The moment that I said, I took my artist out of that box, and I was like, you know what, this is who I am. I am not just a businesswoman. I'm an artist of my life. I'm an artist in business. I'm an artist in music. I'm an artist in pleasure. I'm an artist in, physical activity and being an athlete. Like, it's all of it. And I think that when we actually bring in all of those parts of our self-expression, that's where our potential for joy, our joy quota, actually lifts. It expands because we've literally brought more momentum, more inertia into it. And so I think that sometimes, if there's pieces of yourself, especially even in this domain of sexuality, where it's like, oh, I don't want to talk about it, or, oh, should I? Yet there's these curiosities and this intrigue of like, I'm just waiting for that permission. Well, someone just like, it's like when moments would be like, oh, I hear you're into music. Like, same thing with JP, he was like, oh, I'm into comedy. When someone would actually invite it out of him, that it would actually allow for more of that to continue. So I think that's a lot of what we're doing here in this challenge. And just for all of you, if there are pieces of yourself, the first part is to start giving them space and to start allowing them, and just see what that secret menu wants to deliver as a result. So.
Oh my God, that was sweet. I love this. And I love JP. I had to go see him live, in San Diego, because I just had to. I remember first time I saw JP, he didn't even have 100,000 followers yet. Way back when he barely started ultra spirituality. And it's been a pleasure to just observe him grow.
Yeah.
And grow and grow. And I love how that you are saying, so to bring in your creativity, to see what secret recipe is out there for you. So I want to now take a little dive into, before we end, because we are coming up on the hour, but I really want to talk about how people can work with both of you individually as well. I'm going to flip over here to Jolie, and then we'll go back to you, Jules. But I love the challenges here, just in case you're all just now seeing this. It's floating across the screen, Dare to Prosper Challenge. It is also in the comments. I'm going to go ahead and post it one more time. Please click on this. It is free, and dare to do something different in your life. If what you're doing isn't working, I always say, then it's probably time to do something different. Do it for Jesus, Jiminy Crickets. But what about for somebody who is like, I love the challenge, I think that's great, but I really want to get busy like bitty now. Please help me.
Yeah.
Like that.
What
are we gonna do?
Yeah. So there's two other ways that you can work with me. And actually, Jules and I are pretty much in full-time collab right now. She has been the most wonderful blessing in my life. I was literally crying the other day because I'm like, thank you, Jules, for coming into my life, because we are co-creating, we're holding so many things together. So if you want to come and train and study with us collectively, the next step would be to come into Creatrix Calling, which is a 5-week accelerator to explore deeply into your personal gifts, to do a self-investigative process to find out what are your talents, what is your zone of genius, and then after being so deeply clear about what that is, to be able to build a product based on that. So we work specifically with people who are coaches and healers and niche service providers and psychics, intuitives, nutritionists, all different, like I said, niche service providers who want to put a product out into the market, who want to own their next price point, and who want to be really in their zone of genius and doing it. So after Creatrix Calling, our students graduate with their core offer built and their pricing model built based on their new vibration of themselves. It's very intuitive. It's very feminine in that way, where we're building it on the foundation of those spiritual gifts. After that, that's the prerequisite to come into Creatrix Academies, where we fully produce and help you produce the biggest launch of your career. We ask for a minimum launch goal of 25,000 to be in that accelerator. We teach lead generation, and nobody teaches lead generation like we're doing it. We get organic traffic that is truly pioneering the industry. Lead generation, sales and conversion, energetics, mindset, to be able to go out into the market and have the biggest launch of your career and to set up your 6 or multi-6-figure business. That's Creatrix Calling and Creatrix Academy.
Oh, that's wonderful. Seriously, if you go ahead and put that into the private chat for me, and I'll put those up into the screen as well. I'm going to flip it over to our wonderful Jules.
Yeah, well, like Jolie said, it's like you never know where life's going to take you in that domain, and being able to collaborate from both our domains of expertise. I've been in the business world about 13 years. I've, made 6-7 figures. I've had business partners embezzle. I've lost it. I've been up, I've been down, I've been around, I've been, and I'm sure there'll be more, right? And so to take that collective wealth of experience from both of us in different ways and bring this in, it really is modeling the next wave of leadership and actually what it looks like to do business. And so both of those things are great. And then Unconventional Life, is a podcast that's been done over, 300 plus episodes. There's over 150 articles on Forbes. So if you look at Unconventional Life on Google or iTunes or Spotify, or just put that in, you'll find all of that. And I think the best way to experience someone is just to get to experience them. And I'd say, go there, check out the podcast, listen and see if it's a fit for you. And also we do these events. We've got one that is going to be coming up hopefully in Antarctica next year, a very intimate, like 60-person event on this big ship, but only 60 of us total for whale watching season. And we've got a few things coming through for next year as well. So if you're also itching, you're a vaccinator or whatever your beliefs are on vaccines and things like that, come out in person. Unconventional Life usually does 2 big events a year. And they're always bucket list experience, whether it's taking over castle towns in Italy or safaris in South Africa or private islands in Madagascar. We do a whole range of things. And obviously it looks a little different with COVID right now, but I would say check that out as well, or you can go to julesschroeder.com and you can see some of the business stuff there too. And also music is a huge domain that I'm really pioneering. I think our art is the shortcut to the soul. I think music is the gateway to the soul. And so, I love doing multimedia performances, in the middle of writing this book that's got a poem mixed with content, mixed with a song at the end. And so I think that's the way forward of how to integrate all these different pieces of art. So if that's something, that resonates for you, feel free to reach out. And I love collaborating. So
that's beautiful. Love it. You two are the absolute epitome of what I think of rock star leaders in our country coming forward and taking a place, and the way showers for I have an 8-year-old granddaughter. Okay, this is the work you're doing is so important for her generation, and all of this is so important. The change is now, it's already happened. We are in it. Now it's time to learn how to orchestrate our way through it. It's learning an entirely new belief system and shredding anything that we knew before. This is how it is from my perspective. Everything I've ever been taught just doesn't seem to work now. And now I've had to relearn, and I'm constantly every day relearning. Today, I have learned so much from both of you. My appreciation is just so huge. So before we leave, the last thing I ask is who that you're grateful for, because we all know to be in grateful beingness is just a state of being, but the who's in our life are everything. So I'm going to do a flip. Jolie, who are you grateful for?
I'm giving this one to Jules. She came into my life and everything up-leveled. She is the yang to my yin. She has brought so much clarity and peace. I'm a projector in human design. She's a manifesting generator, and we just click in and magic is created. And even just us jamming together in this show reminds me of how grateful I am for you, Jules. I love you.
Oh, that's so sweet, Jolie. Yeah, I would echo that. And I think we all find each other at just the perfect times. And, I'd also say this year has been such a profound year. That meat hook moment was very real moment. And, my partner, Adam, was a huge part of that. My dog, Ella, never underestimate our fur friends. She's been holding it down 7 years strong. All those cuddles, she's a common denominator. And really just for friendship, I think there's so much, that I think Jolie and I think sometimes we have these people that are karmic in our relationships, the time that we come through, and we each get to give and receive the pieces that, we're like, is it still there? Do I still got it? How is it going to look? And then the force and the fuel comes behind you and you get to know yourself newly. And so I just invite you all, if you're ready to discover, if there's a piece that's like not totally clicking, come play with us in the subconscious field. Come play with us in the quantum. Come discover. And either join the challenge or reach out otherwise.
I'm loving it, guys. I am grateful for both of you, immensely grateful. And I want to encourage the audience to think about who you're grateful for as you go forward today. Who can you be of service to in gratitude? Who can you show up for today? If you think your life isn't going the way you want it to go, first join the Dare to Challenge, the Dare to Prosper Challenge. I was getting tongue-tied. And also just step out in that, find your joy button, find it, whatever that's going to be. Go back and listen to this over again a couple of times, because there were so many beautiful golden nuggets throughout this entire hour, and it's worth re-listening to. We'll see you all at the Dare to Prosper Challenge. If you have any questions, you can always message spiritualitygonewild.com. If you want to be a guest on Cuppa Grata, hit me up, or actually go to spiritualitygonewild.com/guest with an S. All right. Peace out, everybody. Have a day full of gratitude and positive momentum.